Hello there and welcome to RwandaTV News. An eventful Monday it has been. All today, William Ruto was declared the 5th president for Kenya, and more about that a little later on. But for now, the headlines. Christians from all around the world commend how well they were received at what is considered holy ground in Kibeho for a feast in honor of Virgin Mary's Assumption to heaven. And economic and business analysts believe that in the future, the gap between Rwanda's imports and exports will further decrease. Also, 23 senior soldiers from 10 African countries who are trainers of other soldiers have started a course at Rwanda Peace Academy. Thanks for choosing RwandaTV once again. I am Isabel Masozera. Always a pleasure bringing you the latest here in Rwanda and around the world. Now, top of our edition, Christians from all around the world commend how well they were received at what is considered holy ground in Kibeho for a feast in honor of Virgin Mary's Assumption to heaven. Precious Kirezi kicks us off.
A holy mass led by the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Gikongoro marked the beginning of Assumption celebrations taking place in Kibeho. Ugandan Christians in attendance are heading to the spring of water that has built a reputation of working miracles for those who drink it. I believe this water I'm about to take is a source of blessing because its healing power has relieved me of back pain and headache before. Christians in attendance have expressed that this time is as good as any to deepen one's connection with God and thank Him for how far Rwanda has come after the atrocity that was the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi.
I trust in the power of the Virgin Mary to get us through our youthful time in a way that suits the Lord.
At approximately 3 p.m. during the Holy Mass, a number of Christians say they saw unusual things happen with the sun, which they have briefly embarked on. A member of the Methodist Church in South Africa intends to testify of the miracles she has witnessed in Kibeho. The Vatican's ambassador to Rwanda pointed out that if the Virgin Mary's message in Nyaruguru had been heard prior, the genocide against the Tutsi would not have happened. The first apparitions took place in 1981 at Kibeho to Momureke Alphonsine, a girl who was studying at the Mère du Verbe school, followed by Muka Mazimaka Anatali and Mukangano Marie Claire. From that time on, Kibeho was considered a special place for Christians, especially those from the Catholic Church. Precious Chilezi, RTV News.
Thank you, Precious. Economic and business analysts believe that in the future, the gap between Rwanda's imports and exports will further decrease due to the programs and policies aimed at building a stable economy. Adam Kwizera has more.
The Central Bank of Rwanda, BNL, points out that trading between Rwanda and other countries has continued to recover as the COVID-19 pandemic and its effects continue to die down. The central bank says that comparing to the second quarter of last year, 2021, Rwanda's export increased by 32.2% in the second quarter of this year of 2022. Despite this, Rwanda's imports also increased by 24.5%, increasing the country's trade deficit to 20.6%, though officials in the central bank point out is not a reason for discouragement. Our imports are over 2 billion, while our exports are almost 400 million. So you can understand that the gap between our imports and exports is decreasing. What we should be happy with is that our exports continue to grow, as well as our imported that we export to our neighboring countries has increased. But what we import from abroad, especially petroleum, has increased significantly, which caused this problem of increasing of import bill. The economic analyst, Gahigana Innocent, notes that in order to reduce the gap between what Rwanda imports and exports, it takes time. Well, this gap is related to Rwandan history. For example, our industries does not have 20 years since they started. There are things that are still in process of building, even in producing enough products, but we still have a way to go. In spite of this, there is a hope that in coming days, the production of industrial sector may increase, which will weaken importation, according to Dr. Rusibana Claude, the Vice Chancellor of Kigali Independent University, ULK. Establishing industries based on technology in Rwanda is growing, so that growth gives us confidence that what we produce in those industries will be needed by foreign countries, so export will increase. And there is a system in form of trade called dumping, means weakening the product that you have in country that was imported. That discouragement goes with raising the tax while giving power to those who produce them in your country. Another thing that can bring back changes are the cargo planes that Rwanda is expecting to have in future, according to Uchana Murekezi, who is in charge of business and commercial at International Transport and Logistics, Borore Rwanda branch. Rwanda exports coffee, tea, and horticulture products, which is what Rwanda is putting a lot of effort. Now exports includes vegetables and fruits that are increasing, as well as the challenges we have in transportation. Rwanda used to not have cargo planes, for that fruits and vegetables needed to be transported quickly. By now, we used to use passenger aircraft, but in the next few days, we are going to have cargo aircraft. I think it will have a change, including reducing that gap. Although the trade deficit increased at the end of June, the central bank BNL says that Rwanda had enough savings that would facilitate the country to import goods and services for the almost 5 months, for that it protected the currency to get depreciated too much. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams. Now, earlier today, at exactly 4 minutes after 6 p.m. Kenyan time, Mr. Wafula Chebukati, the chairperson of IEBC, declared William Ruto the winner of Kenya's presidential election by a razor-thin margin. Now, Ruto, who locked in 50.5%, equivalent to 7.1 million valid votes, is now the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya. We now cross over to Vincent Makori, host and managing director, VOA's Africa 54, who is on assignment in Kenya and has been covering the presidential elections from the start. Vincent, how are you doing?
I am fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for making the time to speak to us. Now, Vincent, some of the stakeholders disowned the results, including Raila Odinga's campaign officials, as well as supporters who cited irregularities in the elections and have vowed to challenge the outcome. But that's not all that happened. We also saw Juliana Sherera, who is IEBC's vice chairperson, who was accompanied by about 4 of her colleagues, holding a press conference earlier saying, and I quote, "We are rejecting the results the chairman is about to announce at Bomas of Kenya due to the opaqueness of the process during the final phase." Now, all of that is quite heavy, but could you talk to us about the possible scenarios of what we could be expecting in the next few days?
Well, and actually, if I may begin from the commissioners who rejected those results, it's really very remarkable that members of the commission, more than half of them, because they're actually in total 7, now including the deputy chairperson of the commission, Juliana, disowned those elections. That's very, very significant. And they said they will be presenting the evidence as to why they think those elections shouldn't be accepted. But before the final results were announced, in fact, as you mentioned, Raila Odinga's coalition side boycotted the ceremony. The members who were there at the Bomas of Kenya, in fact, some of them were involved in some scuffles. There was a little bit of fighting there. We witnessed throwing of chairs, people punching each other, and it was a very surreal kind of image there. But, Mr. Chebukati went ahead and declared Mr. William Ruto the president-elect. Now, it's not over, because we can expect Mr. Raila's coalition to petition these elections, to go to court, and this kind of looks like something we've seen in the past.
Speaking of boycotting, one of the things that was highlighted was the technology and the server. This was singled out consistently, not just after the results were given, but also earlier as Kenyans were voting. Now, looking at this, presumably this could go to court, like you said, but is this enough? Do they have grounds that could warrant fresh elections? And if that happened, Vincent, what would that look like for Kenyans?
You know, in fact, it's not just the failing electronic equipment, the voting electronic equipment, the KIMS, but there are claims that there was manipulation of numbers within the system. So in a way, they're accusing some people there of having gone in and changed the numbers and probably added some figures that were not there. Now, we don't know. We don't have the evidence. But now, the fact that the commissioners themselves, 4 members of the commission out of 7, come out and say they have reasons to refuse those elections, it means there was also a problem within the commission itself, that even commissioners believe there was a problem with the numbers.
Listen, this is the first time we're seeing anything like this. 4 commissioners, like you said, coming out. But still, do you think that could warrant fresh elections? Because I know that is what is on the mind of everybody. Because when you have that and you have Raila's camp saying, we want to challenge, is that enough?
The threshold for nullifying an election is very high, but Kenya has been there before. Kenya made the history for being the first country, perhaps in the world, but at least across Africa, to nullify a presidential election in 2017. So that is thinkable, it's fathomable. The question is, do they have enough evidence to convince the courts that actually this election had errors, very serious errors? Now, you ask the question, what will things look like? Of course, if that happens, there will be a call for a rerun. Now, there's a difference. If they say they were to do a rerun, that is a repeat of 2017. The question will be, will Mr. Raila Odinga again accept or boycott a rerun? Last time he actually boycotted it because he said it wasn't going to make a difference because the same electoral commission was going to manage these elections. So if there was a rerun, that will be the big question. Will Mr. Raila Odinga accept to go to a rerun with this same electoral commission? So those are 2 issues that have to be dealt with. The first, the overwhelming evidence, if there is, of errors or fraud. And then, of course, if Mr. Raila Odinga, once again, we'll have to deal with the situation of going back to an election with the same electoral commission that has, by his own account, has bungled an election against him again.
Let's talk about what led us here. Now, the outgoing president, Uhuru Kenyatta, supported Raila Odinga instead of his deputy. Could you talk to us about the dynamics around his decision and what has become the outcome?
Well, Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, in the first term with Mr. Ruto, they had what was seen as a bromance. They were like twins. They loved each other, these people. They worked hard together. They campaigned together. They used to hold hands and walk around just like the greatest friends ever. But then they fell out sometime in the second term, the very beginning of the second term. It has been said that perhaps it's because Mr. Kenyatta accepted to reach an amicable arrangement with Mr. Raila Odinga after, that acrimonious election. And therefore, because Raila came into the picture, Mr. William Ruto says it kind of messed up their relationship. And because of that, the relationship got worse and worse. Now, here's the key. Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta ended up endorsing Raila Odinga. The question has been, did it help him? It did not in any way, because in fact, in the same area where Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta comes from, the supporters of the people who would have given Raila Odinga the support revolted against the president and refused to a large extent to give Mr. Raila Odinga those votes, and instead they have overwhelmingly voted for Mr. Ruto. So it was a kind of a very strange situation there, because the endorsement seems not to have done Mr. Raila any good at all. But on the contrary, it might have hurt him. And some people are saying it would have actually been better if Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta had stepped away and let Raila Odinga run his campaigns the way he always has run his campaigns, on his own.
Right. Well, there could be only one way to find out if next time he has that option. As we let you go, could you talk to us about what you think? Do you think there's a possibility that he might be able to run? Now, I know that President-elect called him a worthy competitor, and a lot has been said about how this campaign his campaign was carried out. Do you see him running once again, or could this be it for Raila?
Well, only time will tell. I mean, next 5 years, he'll be like, over 80 years old. So it will be a question of whether he wants to run really again, or perhaps if at some point he may feel like it's time to just take a back seat and, enjoy the gains he made over the years. I mean, he still goes down as a person, even if he doesn't become a president. He will be remembered for so many things that he's done in this country, including playing a big role in attaining a new constitution, playing a great role in getting this country into becoming a very democratic country. So, and he served as a prime minister and was very effective by some other people's accounts. So you may say that he could retire if he chose and still savor some of the successes that he experienced over the years, even despite of not having become the president himself.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. And that is Vincent Makori from VOA. We take you to a report by Betty Motoni, where just one day left to the 25th Rwanda International Trade Fair coming to an end. The exhibitors who appeared for the first time say they are grateful because they were able to market their products, and they say they will be able to come back for the exhibition. Take a look.
Cecilia Nikuze is one of the members of Nyagatare Volunteer Service Development Cooperatives that produce unique charcoal known as briquette, producing more than 80 sacks per day. For this charcoal that is made out of tree known as akate or imihengeri, it was presented in this expo for the first time. Cecilia noted that this helped her to market it both local and international, which will help her to get more clients even after the expo. This expo has given us courage and advantage. We have to work so hard so that if we were producing 3 to 4 cars of charcoal, we have to go up to more than 10 at least, so that all Rwandans can be able to access them, because the item is new. Most people haven't got to know about it, but those who have already are appreciating us. The 25th Rwanda International Trade Fair comes to an end tomorrow. Most of the items, including clothes, shoes, and different home items, are put on the promotion, and others the prices have been lowered. The exhibitors, most especially the foreigners, are so excited by the way their products were bought and liked.
The National Fair is many people, and first time the people liked my product because it's first time to see this my product. And a very, very good exhibition, and very succeeded the exhibition here because the people are interested and very cheap price than the different price for any other exhibition in any other outside in the market. And here the exhibition is famous for everything is very good, and the product, many product. The people in Kigali are interested. Never to find this all collection for this product here. And many people make a promotion.
I like Rwandan hospitality, and I really like this kind of good show. They like it. Yeah, they are interested. They like it. They like it. I got my worth to come here.
Rwanda is a good place to do business because Rwanda is honest. because Rwanda has ambition, because Rwanda is forward-thinking, and Rwanda has a good green agenda.
25th Rwanda International Trade Fair that started on 25th July attracted around 500 exhibitors and is ending tomorrow on 16th August 2022. Betty Mutoni, RwandaTV News.
Moving on, 23 senior soldiers from 10 African countries who are trainers of other soldiers have started a course at the Rwanda Peace Academy, which is aimed at increasing their knowledge about maintaining peace and protecting civilians in countries facing war. Olivun Tete filed this report.
Of this training are trainers of others in their countries of origin. Those who will be going on peacekeeping missions point out that these trainings will assist them in acquiring more knowledge, which will support them in training other military people in their respective countries. They also point out that it is a good time to share experiences as people who train others.
The main thing is protecting citizens because they are the ones who usually face challenges during war, especially women and children, and even those who are weak. So this is the way of sharing experiences and also sharing ideas so that we can all gain in that task that awaits us.
It is a very, very important course in that it is going to enhance our knowledge, on protection of civilians. This information or knowledge which we are also going to share back home in our different countries. This course is going to enhance our knowledge on how we can go about it and how we can provide that protection to the women and children especially.
Such trainings were last held in Rwanda in 2019. Retired Colonel Jill Rutaremara, the director of Rwanda Peace Academy, explains that joining together soldiers from various African countries makes this training special. He also points out that increasing the knowledge of such senior soldiers who are trainers of others is a sign of sustainable future for not relying on foreigners who provide such coachings in many African countries.
One of the things that they will gain is receiving the knowledge needed while they are at missions. The second thing is that these are the people that we wish to train so that they become trainers. This means they will also train others. This assists us in reducing the number of foreign people we always call to train our people, why we have all those who can do it. And I believe this is the same thing that will happen in other countries as well. When these participants go back, they will train other soldiers, policemen, as well as civilians of these countries. But also what they will gain from here will support them in carrying out their activities at those missions.
The Rwanda Peace Academy usually organizes trainings for those preparing to go on peacekeeping missions in countries facing war. These trainings about protecting people as well as their belongings will last 2 weeks. It was organized by the Rwanda Peace Academy in collaboration with the government of the Netherlands and the United States of America. The participants are from 10 African countries, namely Benin, Ghana, Niger, Rwanda, Senegal, Sierra Leone, Tanzania, Togo, Uganda and Zambia. Olive Nete, RTV News.
We apologize for the small technical challenge earlier on, but on behalf of our entire news team here at RBA, thanks for watching and we'll see you soon.